Hello, guys.
Are you ready for streaming today?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
ready.
Seems that we will get a really good topic today. It's time to be serious and talk about what are the next step. What is the most important framework to create mobile application, cross mobile application. But yeah, definitely. Today we will talk about Flutter, which is a really nice tool. it's I want to be serious, but yeah, it's impossible. I'm just kidding. We are having this because the April's Fool Day. Oh yeah, never mind. We are not talking about Flutter. Uh, I don't know if all of you have the same thinking, but probably it's not the best option right now. Yeah. Anyway, it, it was funny to put this at the beginning of stream. So let me just remove this because, especially if we continue looking at this, maybe they convince us to start using it.
Probably.
So let's stop this to avoid any confusion.
It's
Great.
not a good joke.
That is because actually you really enjoy using it, right?
That is a nice April 1st trivia.
Okay. Yeah, since that now we are live, so we are getting some people looking at the streaming, and well,
Just,
now
just
let's. Yep.
before you start, Alex, if the guys that are following us on the streaming, so can confirm that you are hearing us or listening us, just to just to confirm that.
Yeah, let's see if they confirm because sometimes we have like a lot of viewers, but seems that they are just bots. Maybe they are.
Yes.
Maybe maybe there's like fewer developers trying to change to a different framework. We never know.
Pretend to change their mind.
But yeah, I think it's working. I mean, I think everything is in place, so we can start. Okay, so today is a very special day. Not only because this is the first streaming in a different language, because commonly we get like the streaming in Spanish. So for now, since we have a really cool folk here that is uh, speaking a little bit of a really cool library. So let me introduce Pedro, which is one of the most prominent developers that I know right now. This guy has I can say that a very short period in the Xamarin world, and he already created a lot of interesting things. So with that, I can tell that Pedro can explain a little bit where is he from and all the things that he knows too.
Oh, thank you for that introduction, Alejandro. I don't know if like it's a very big responsibility, like be a great developer, but I'm just learning how to program yet. Do a little bit bugs on community libraries and fix them later. But yeah, I'm a mobile developer, architect. I work with Alejandro these days. Have this honor, and I learn a lot from him, especially with bindings, native bindings. You guys, please ask him to show how to do bindings because he knows a lot about it.
Yeah.
And also, I work a lot on open source, especially with Xamarin projects like Xamarin Essentials, Xamarin Forms, like 2 years from now, and Xamarin Community Toolkit as well. I started there with a community contributor at the very, very beginning, and today I am a part of the core team members of that library, and also with .NET MAUI. I already have some 2 or 3 PRs on that library, and and yeah, I mean, most of my job in the community is to introduce bugs to your applications and fix them later.
that that's the way it is. Yeah, so I want to say thank you to have time to share with the Latin America community of your knowledge, and yeah, I think that this library is really cool. Before you join us, we just talk about all the amazing things that are coming and the things that are just released a few days ago, and we mentioned that we didn't get like an starting point on that because right now the Xamarin blog is not like releasing all the new goodies that the library has every time that you release a new version. So it
Mhm.
will be really important to talk about a little bit about it with the community because as we mentioned, sometimes there's a lot of important things that you need to create every time that you create a new project, and with the library you will save a lot of time by using the pre-built features that the library provides us. And with that, I think the first question is talk us a little bit more about that framework, the Xamarin Community Toolkit, how that idea goes like to the wild because I remember previously we used to have these kind of libraries, but at the end the community just dropped the support. I don't know if you was able to use the library which is the XLabs. It's a kind of similar library. XLabs was like a kind of common library at the very early years of Summer Reform. A lot of people create some really awesome controls, helpers, those kind of things that you can reuse into a project. And now we get this library that is basically, we can say a Microsoft library because the Microsoft team has some members that are allocated to that specific project, but also there's a lot of community folks that are sharing the code there. So tell us a little bit more about the framework and how you get involved in this one.
Sure. So yeah, as you mentioned, the Xamarin Community Toolkit is not like a new idea, and we had like a first version a lot of years ago, like that Xamarin Community Toolkit that even that repository, but that didn't have too much traction from the community and also maybe from the Xamarin folks. So that library was like there for a while and no one touched it on that. In that meantime, like final of the last year, a couple of people from the Xamarin team and also from the community, like Jared Juarez, Javier Juarez, and Andre, and a lot of other MVPs and folks from the community. At that time, Andre isn't MVP yet, wasn't MVP yet, sorry. So they tried to revive that Xamarin Community Toolkit library. And the first idea was, okay, let's add some effects, some behaviors, and some basic controls that every time that you create a new project, you needed to like copy and paste from your last project. Like a very dumb one that I saw a lot, like entry without borders. You know, it's like a effect that everyone wants, and we don't have that on the Xamarin Forms properly. So, or you create a custom render, or you create an effect, but every time you needed to copy and paste that, and that's not really cool. You know, you copy and paste, and if you find some bug or you needed to upgrade something, you need to upgrade all the code in our project, and it's kind of very blurry. So they think, okay, let's revive this project. Let's bring it back to life and share it with the community and share it with the world. But another thing happened at the meantime in parallel, like .NET MAUI happens. So the Xamarin Forms 5 was the final version of the Xamarin. We don't have any other version like 6.0. You know, just having the 5.0 and the service releases that is like bug fixes and security improvements and stuff like that, and that's it. So we had a lot of controls that was experimental on forms like media element, like expander and a few others that cannot be there because on .NET World, you know, this is a .NET rule on the repository, you cannot have experimental flags.
Yeah.
So you know, when the Xamarin Forms 5 will be the base code for the .NET MAUI, they cannot have that experimental controls there. So they need to find another place to that controls. And the Xamarin Community Toolkit was a great place. So we did that. We grabbed all the Xamarin Forms experimental features from 4.8 and moved it to Xamarin Community Toolkit. And on Xamarin Forms, like Expander, like Media Element, they don't exist there anymore. Or even the markup extensions, like the C Sharp UI. So you need to go
Yeah.
to the Xamarin Community Toolkit and grab that from there. And that is great because inside of the Xamarin Community Toolkit, those controls could evolve much faster than if they become on the Xamarin Forms because our like cadence release is like faster than Forms because we are a smaller library, so you can focus on that.
And
So
that's a really important thing that you mentioned because I remember that when in the summary inform team like detect any kind of issue, it's a kind of complex to manage. It depends. They rank those issues like if it's really critical or not, and sometimes that is impacting maybe just in a specific cases. Maybe you have a bad luck and you get that issue on your application, and you need to wait months or even years to get a fix for that specific issue. And that's one of the important things that you mentioned. Basically, you can go there if you find any kind of issue and track a bug inside GitHub. Oh, I found this issue, and the summary community toolkit can take a look really easily, really quickly, and maybe in the next release you will have a fix for that. That's
mhm.
that's really cool. I really like that way of work. And yeah, and that's one of the important things. Probably we can get a more deep in as this conversation is evolving. But yeah, probably we will need to know what will be the future for this library when MyWeb goes released. But yeah, that is something that probably we need to talk a little bit later. But yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
we
And
have some comments.
also,
We have some
I
comments here. I think
oh, go ahead.
Angelo, Angelo is sending a hello from. I don't
Oh,
know where
Angelo,
is he. Where
he's
is he
from
located?
Brazil. I think São Paulo.
São Paulo. Oh, okay. Yeah, greetings, Angelo. Good to hear. Good to hear you. So yeah. Now with that you can continue. I think you was talking about something.
Yeah, I would say just like as you mentioned it, that on the American Community Kit you can take a look that very quickly, but there is something that I think that is amazing, and I think that Xamarin team also think that is amazing. Like since the Xamarin Community Kit is a smaller repo, a smaller project, so and compared it to Xamarin Forms, for example, like in Xamarin Forms you have like 60 projects in the solution, so it's like a little bit scary for new contributors, and download the code, and you try to run, you see a lot of errors popping up everywhere, and you need to follow like a logical step, like building this project first, and then there's another one, so it's very intimidating for new contributors. On the other hand, the Xamarin Community Toolkit is like, as the name says, a community thing. So the community should take the ownership on that and do the fixes and stuffs like that. So maybe because it is a more friendly and smaller project, we have a lot of help from the community. A lot of people that grow there and add a new control, add a new converter, and a new behavior, and or fixing a bug for us. So I could say that since the beginning we have a lot of traction from the community. So I can say that today, as a core team member on the project, I do less PRs and do more code reviews to merge stuff because we have a lot of community work on that. So I think, okay, I don't need to code that much. I love code, but I think, okay, since we have a lot of community passion and track here, let me give those guys attention because they are my priority. My priority is
Yeah.
merge your PR on our library. So yeah, this is amazing that how it have been direction have been going.
Well, that is another
That's
good
really
thing
cool.
that if you can share with us what is the steps that we need to follow in order to, well, to to allow us to send a peer to your repo, because, well, as far as I know, so you have some like standards that we need to follow in order to create the peers and follow up those rules. And well,
Hmm.
that will be nice if you can share that information with us, just to,
Sure.
well, to keep that in mind.
Let me just. I will paste it here on private chat. That way you can
Mhm.
share with
Yeah,
the
okay,
global
thank you.
Yeah.
chat, and I will also share my screen here and show the page. So yeah, I believe. Let me know when you are seeing the my screen.
Yeah. Now we can see.
I can see
Yes,
it.
I can
The
see
zoom
it.
is
Probably,
okay. More zoom, less zoom. How is that?
uh,
For me, it's
probably a
okay.
little,
It's
probably
okay
a
Oh,
to
okay.
little
me.
bit, a little bit.
Great. A little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay, we
I,
can
I,
do that.
I have a question. Why are you using Windows?
Sorry.
Why,
Eh,
why are you using Windows?
Oh, because Windows is the best operational system in the world. Come on.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that's a cool answer.
Windows 10 is becoming better than
Yeah, yeah, definitely
others.
Windows 10 is better than the previous one. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
a, a good point, right?
Yeah,
But yeah, to be honest, here in Brazil, like Mac machines, you can choose, or you buy a Mac machine or you buy a car.
yeah.
So because the price is like the same, so most people, so Windows is more common here because of the price.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's emulating Windows on a virtual machine, but he has a MacBook.
yeah. Yeah, maybe that's true.
who knows? So,
But yeah, I
so
mean,
yeah. Moving
you
here,
can
we
tell
have
them.
this contributing file that is like the baby steps that you should read, but I know it. No one's read that. I don't read that on my first time out contributing, to be honest. So we are okay that the people doesn't read that, but exist here. So we share a little bit the introductions, where the project and how we should do the contributions. Our code of conduct that follows the same rules from the .NET Foundation, since
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
Yeah.
Maybe he got some connectivity issues. But let's wait a few instants to see if we can get him back. Remember that we are in a live streaming, so
okay,
okay. Yeah, we
my
lost you
internet just
for a
died
moment.
for. Okay, let me move back here. I was
Yeah.
talking alone. So we have this file, and I said probably no one reads this file since it's a lot of things, and no, I want to code. So you can like just pull in here, open a PR process. So how we manage that? So this is the basic steps that we want the contributors to follow. That is, find the issue that we want to work, and like a bug, for example, bug is the mostly bugs the easiest one. Like you see, this is a bug, so probably we will accept your PR for anything because it's a bug and you need to fix that bug. You want to fix that. So very rare cases we do not accept that PR, but 90.99% of the times we will accept the bug fixes. But let's talk about features requests because I know that everyone wants to bring new features, new stuffs. Working on new stuffs is very exciting. So, for example, you want to add a new feature. Let me. I will send us a sample that one that will probably try to work before for the next major release. There is a calendar control. So someone opened a issue there asking that feature a calendar control, and the first step is that we mark that feature as needs approval because we as a core member team, we need to look at that issue. We need to discuss also with the community to see if it makes sense to accept that feature. Sometimes doesn't make sense. Sometimes it's okay. This is not the time to work on that, so we will not accept this right now. But maybe in the future we can open this discussion again and accept that PR. So
And
open up
with
here. Oh,
with
go
that,
ahead.
what do you recommend? Let's say I have a control that I use commonly on my project, and I want to share that into the Xamarin Community Toolkit. do you recommend me to create first a new issue on GitHub and indicate, okay, I want to add this control, and then you can approve or deny it, or just create a PR with my code there? What is the recommendation that you have for that
First,
kind of thing?
create a issue like I will show here. We have that calendar that, as I said, the Damien. It's amazing. Thank you, Damien, for that. He already have calendar control that he made. Is from now he is the maintainer. He lives on his repo at GitHub, but he wants to give that to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So he did a great job on this spec, and he like share with us the property, the specs, how that things works and stuff like that. And now we are working how that will look like on the XAML code, how the devs can use it, and the control templates, like the features that control support and stuff like that. So the first very step, create the issue and await. That can take a while because all the members of the community toolkit do that on his spare time. So like, you know, someone is a end of the day job and says, oh, I'm so tired today, I just want to grab my beer and sleep. So we probably will not look the PRs or issues that day, but the next day we'll take a look on that, we'll share some love with that. So that can take a while, but it's not because we don't like that, it's just because time we do that on our spare time. So
but if you are desperate, I will put your phone number in the chat so the community can call you or send a message. Hey man, I need that you approve a PR right now.
That works as well. Or also even on the Discord, we have a Discord for the entire.net features. Let me share
the link. We can share here over the.
Let me share the link with you guys. So instead of we can ping me, we can ping Jared, we can ping the entire Maui team. There is all of them. They also have their Roslyn team. So if you have something with the Roslyn area, you just go there and ping the right people. So this is the right place. Like as you say, this is a urgent thing, and you really need to ping me or any other member, like in real time. Feel free to go there to the channel, the Xamarin Community channel, and do the and Pedro Jesus, and I will see your notification in 24 hours. Just kidding, in real time. But yeah, open a PR, I'll wait for that. So after we look at the PR, like this calendar, you said, okay, we want this control. Like I want this control on the Xamarin Community Toolkit. The community want this control because we have this another one here. That is the original issue that I just closed because we have the spec that someone asking for the calendar control, and we have a lot of puts from members of the community saying, dude, this is a great idea. I really need a calendar for my application, and it's a control that I cannot find anywhere, so that will be great. So, okay.
And this one is from someone that just decided to have a calendar control. I mean, let's say I don't have the code. I just have in mind that every time that I need to add a calendar, I need to go to a specific library and install it. And well, I have in mind that probably that is something that we can add to the community toolkit. So it doesn't matter if I don't have the code for that control. I can suggest something to the Xamarin community toolkit, like, okay, why we cannot create like this specific control and add later to the library. And then with that, we can open a discussion with the team and see if we can add that specific control or behavior or any feature in a future release. So it can be in either way. If you want to provide some feedback about something that you want to have in the library, or if you have a pre-built control, you also can contribute with that. That's correct?
Yep, that's absolutely correct. And on our issue template, we have this field here. Who will do the work? And we have like 2 checkboxes here that you can mark or don't mark, but please mark. That is basically saying like, I will do the job. So I'm put here that I want the calendar control and I want to do that PR. Or I am reporting this bug and I want to fix that bug, send a PR to fix that bug. So if you are that guy, just mark the first one, and when that issue is marked ready to work, we know that you will work on that. So if any other member of the community like send a PR before you, we will send that member like, hey guy, we will close your PR right now because that person marked that he want to work.
Yeah,
But like
that's
if that person says that, oh no, it's okay that he sent, so we will verify your PR. You know, like to be fair with the people because we want
yeah,
that
that's
everyone have your opportunity to
to
send a PR
contribute.
and
Yeah,
contribute. Yeah.
and that's a really cool thing because I remember some time ago that Xamarin provide like a kind of challenge about
Hmm.
create some PR for Xamarin Forms, and it was a
Yeah.
totally mess. I mean, you start you start solving those like small issues, and when you create the PR, you discover like 5 person created data already, and they go accepted because they go first. So that's really fair. I mean, if you already select that you will work in something, and the owners of the project or the core team is like being fair with that. So if
Hmm.
that person indicate that they will fix or he will fix the issue, and just like retain the other person that is taking advantage of that, it's really cool. I mean, I really like
Yeah.
that approach.
Yeah,
For
because you don't.
example,
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
okay,
Sorry.
oh, okay. For example, as we know, there out are already exist really good developers, and they have their controls. Did you suggest them to push that controls to some Xamarin Community Toolkit? For example, I saw some of them. For example, the tab view,
Hmm.
and that was another library, and they create a pull request for. If you see some another amazing or a good control, do you recommend them to push or create an issue for that control?
That is a great question, and the answer is like that depends because for sure, like if you have an amazing control, we want that control on our library because we want that all Xamarin developers in that world can access that control easily. And to be honest, Xamarin Community Toolkit is a great success on the Xamarin world. Like today, we can say that we have 3 libraries to create a Xamarin application. This is Xamarin Forms, this is the Xamarin Essentials, and now this is the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So, like, they are the standard for developers to start developing a new mobile application. So, if you, as owner of that control, want that control to be inside the Xamarin Forms, Xamarin Community Toolkit, open an issue saying that, hey, I have this control, just like uh, Damian did for the calendar one. He states, okay, I saw that. I mean, let's say that we don't have this first enhancement for the calendar control. This is one is the first. So he can just say like, I have this control and I am willing to give this control to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. Do you guys accept it? So you will look at that control and they'll say, okay, this is a great control and you want that on the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So you, as the library owner, that the control owner, should send the PR for us and we will accept it and merge it on our library. And that happens a lot of times. Like Andre has a lot of his controls that he migrated to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. Andre ported his pop-up to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. Actually, was a Xamarin Forms PRs and his brings to the Xamarin Community Toolkit, but could be a separated control. We have, let me, because I don't want to spell his name wrong. So let me search here the segmented view from Hussein. I hope that I spelled his name correctly. So he has the segmented view control and he wants to push that to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So yes, if you want, go ahead, open an issue. We will take a look on that. We will provide feedback for you, and we will, after that feedback, we will try to merge the control on our library fast as possible. But also, you need to be aware some things like uh, On the Xamarin Community Toolkit, we follow a code standard. So you needed to migrate your code to follow our code standard. Uh, Also, the library, your that control could not evolve as fast as you want. Like, oh, I want to ship this new feature in the control, but maybe that could be delayed because of library priorities. Maybe this is not the priority to add that feature to your control. So, uh, you know, take care to not to take that in count. You're not owner of the release dates, you're not the owner of how the priorities will be scheduled anymore. Of course, as a community member, you can push that, you can ask that, but you not like have the power to push that. We have our agenda to follow and stuff like that. So yeah, it's like a trade-off.
Yeah, and that's a good point. How commonly you have like those kind of meetings where you decide um, which items can be like allowed or which item can wait, or the next release, what is like the next day to release a new version. uh, this is something that you as the core team member have like commonly often meetings, or is something that you have like one per month you decide which items are good to add or which items are not, or is something that you have like weekly, bi-weekly? What is the cadence for those kind of decisions?
So first of all, we started on a Discord chat. So we have a private chat to the core members, and we discuss this kind of stuff. There's like when we saw a feature request or a change on the library structure, that like me as a developer, I look to that and think, okay, I'm not sure if I should accept or not accept this feature. So I need to discuss that with the other members. So we go there and chat. And today, actually, we had our first meeting, our first stand up when we meeting with the all core members and just try to discuss and set up stuffs. Not yet like in the like a rock, but the first one to address some concerns like this: how we be our schedule for new releases, how will be the priorities of the issues and stuff like that. So on top of my head, I can't say that bug fixes is our first priority because we want that library to be stable. More than add new features, you want that features that exist on the library works as expected. And so, any bug fixes, we will look that first for then new features. And also because we have two branches right now. We have the main branch that is the current version, and we have the developer branch that will be the next major version. So all bug fixes, we work at the main, we merge them at the main, and we release that like normally is like a 2 or 3 weeks. We release a new main version, but that could not be all times 2 weeks, because if you don't have too much PRs, doesn't make sense to release a new version. We hold on a little bit. And for the and the new features and breaking chains, we go to the developer branch that is the major release. So we have, when I say break change, it's not like a real break change, because first we obsolete that member that we don't use anymore. So we obsolete one version, and the next major version we delete that obsolete thing. So we like give you one version before we move that obsolete member.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't feel a
that,
pain on developers.
with that, I can imagine that you have two NuGet packages. One is like a preview, and the other one is stable, right? Okay.
Right. We release those tools at the same day, and we also we have a nightly build. That every day night we release a new build from I think it's the develop branch.
The develop branch. Okay. That's interesting, especially as you mentioned. If someone already merged the code and they want that fixed, they can use that nightly. Right? That's
Yeah, that is
that's
correct.
really cool and interesting. But
So
yeah,
just to finish that part of the opening and issue. So we open the issue and we have accepted that issue. We can work on that if you mark this first one. If you mark the second one, you just say, okay, I have this idea, but I don't have the code, and I just put that idea here, and anyone can work on that. So if it is a not critical issue, we open it to the community to work on that because you don't need that like by tomorrow, for example. It's like a very huge bug and you need to fix that in the short time. So anyone in the community could take that. It's in order. If the first person that says I want to work on this, okay, is your go ahead and we will wait your PR.
so
Or in
basically you're saying if I go here at the GitHub and I find a bug or a control that I want to work, and if I see that anybody raise his hand to start working, I can say, oh, I will take this one, and automatically I have the priority to perform that task, right?
yes, that's correct. Normally we assign that issue to you, but sometimes don't. So it actually doesn't matter because you know that you will work on that. And also, this is not like a contract. So I know that life happens, and maybe at the middle of the process something happens and you cannot work anymore on that issue. Don't be sad. It's not a shame. Just go to the issue and say, oh, I cannot work anymore on this one because I don't have time. You don't even need to explain what you don't want to work on that anymore. Just say I cannot work on that, and it's completely okay. You'll not be punished. Like if you ask again to another issue, you not put your butt on the scale. No, you don't want that guy because he
Yeah.
failed that time. Is that not gonna happen.
Well, that's
And
good to know
if you
because at some point, so a couple of people so are like are scared when they try to take some books or some features from the GitHub and they start working on that, and they probably knows that at some point, so they can accomplish that. Well, I was thinking that probably a couple of people are scared about those things, and that is nice to know that. Well, there's no problem, so you can well just probably inform to the people that probably you cannot continue to work on that feature, and someone else can take it. Yeah, but that is
yeah,
good to know.
yeah. Also, like for example, we had this situation before. Someone was working on a feature for snack bar that he was able just to do on the Android part. So iOS and UWP cannot be done by that person. So they open a PR for Android and he said that to us. And we said, okay, you did the Android part. Let's like review that and make that ready to merge. So in meantime, I asked that person who implemented the snack bar at first place if that person could work to finish that feature. So what we did, we created a new branch on the Xamarin Community Toolkit, measure that PR for Android to that, and say to that person, hey, we measured this work here, so we can fork this branch and continue working on here to implement for the other platforms. And today we had that PR opened, I think. I was 1 week off for the code to my vacation. I'm moving back now, so I don't know if it was measured or not, but just to point it out that it's completely fine if you can work just on one platform. We can handle that, measure that and start to work on other platforms and hook up everything and merge on develop your main branch. So, if you want to contribute, go ahead. If you start to work on an issue and you see, dude, this is very hard. I cannot finish that. I don't know how to move further. Before give up, ping me, ping anyone on the team. We are here to help you. So don't be ashamed of that. Don't be shy. Just this is very hard. I cannot, I try and try and I cannot find a solution. We will help you on that. You probably ask to open a PR with the code that you have so far. We will check out that code and we'll see and we'll give tips to you continue working. And probably we will merge that because we really want the people to start contribution and don't be afraid of that. So you stuck any corner, any edge corner, ping us, and we will help you to succeed on that.
And I have
That's nice to
a little,
hear.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because some people it's afraid to start working on some bug. It's nice to hear that we can receive help from you on the team. That's really cool.
hmm
Yeah, and
absolutely.
I have a little question. You mentioned UWP. Um, all the things that are part of the community toolkit have support as baseline for those three platforms: iOS, Android, and UWP. Or there's some features that are only for mobile things like Android and iOS. Other things are just related to iOS, or all things are supported by the three platforms.
So our first priority are Android and iOS. So like we would like to people, if you create a new feature or anything like that that support both platforms, Android and iOS. If that supports UWP is great. If that supports WPF, Tizen, macOS also.
Even better.
Uh, even better. But like if it works on Android and iOS, it's enough for us
It's enough.
because honestly, talking today, the Xamarin Forms projects target more the uh, mobile projects, so Android and iOS. UWP, there is project and people that do that, but not so often than mobile
The
parts.
mobile.
So that is our priority.
Yeah, that's really good to know. And also as you mentioned, maybe someone doesn't have like a MacBook to create the iOS part, and if that person really knows how to deliver the Android part, he can just say, okay, I have this part, and as you mentioned, there's not like, okay, if you take that, you need to provide support for everything. If the person only have the code for Android or for iOS, it's good, and that person can share the code. That's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if I finished this one, but
No,
I will try it right now.
uh,
So yeah,
let's
we
try to
accept the
focus there.
feature. You can fork the repo. You should fork the repo and do the stuff. Create a new branch. Okay, don't do that on the main on developer branch. Create a new branch from developer one and implement your fix feature, whatever. Open a PR. We will review that with all the love that we have, and we will merge that. And again, I know from me and another contributors, people that contribute with the Xamarin Forms and Xamarin Essentials, that your PRs could take a while to be reviewed or measured. And that is understandable because the Xamarin Forms and Essentials are a huge project, and the people that work there have a lot of things to do also, not just to review in the PR. So that could take a while, and I saw on the Twitter that new contributors like uh, give up to contributing again because they take long, and you move on to someone review, you need to rebase and fix a lot of conflicts, and that is scary. You fix a conflict from the forums, say, oh my god, should I delete this one, the line, or no?
Yeah,
So on the Xamarin Community Toolkit, I really try to review all PRs as fast as possible to make that merge as fast as possible. So every time that you open a PR, like in a cadence of 2 days, I will probably review that, give you some feedback or approve that, and someone of the team to review as well and merge that. So we try to do a merge very, very fast. So you don't need to like be afraid. Oh, that should be like 2 months to be merged. No, you try to merge that very fast because it's a small project. There is no reason to take very, very long to do that.
So some people say I create my PR 2 hours ago and they haven't merged.
Yeah, 2 hours. So yeah, that's a good point. So let me, measure expectations here. Let's say 2 days to be reviewed.
and now,
Because
now, now imagine that part of that merge PR is that the file that you modified was removed. Imagine that. Now you don't know where you need to put that new code because that file got removed. So, yeah, I mean, it can happen.
It happens.
Yes, yes.
We had, I think, in the history of the Xamarin Community Toolkit, two big changes, and that I'm sorry, contributors, for that, because that really was like painful. The first one is when we changed our folder structures. So the OpenADPR had a lot of merge conflicts because the files are in another place, and the people needed to fix that stuff. Uh, that was another one. That was when we added the nullable reference type support. So we are nullable safe right now, but that like changed a lot in a lot of codes. And when we measured that, the contributors also needed to redo the code to be nullable safe, because other than that, the CI will fail because
so
warnings as
so
errors for nullables. Go
ah,
ahead,
so,
Alejandro.
so so now it's like mandatory to support no labels.
Now is a
So
mandatory
basically,
one.
in each property you need to put that question mark.
That question mark or that exclamation in some
Okay.
areas and stuff like that. So that was a real big pain for contributors, and I'm sorry for that, contributors. But we tried to do that less painful possible. But sometimes we need
That
to do
that's the kind
that.
of feature that I don't know, especially because it's, as you mentioned, it's a big change. It's a big change.
Yeah, that isn't easy. Let me grab that PR if you guys want to take a look
I
at that
know,
community.
I know that a lot of people is like aware of this, like having those new labels, because yeah, to be quite honest, that is something really common, having a lot of crashes because of the labels. And now with that, you are able to detect where are the places that potentially you will have a new label exception. But I don't know if it's worth it, like the change, especially if you already create a project. You need to change a lot of things, and as you mentioned, this will cause problems is if the people is working in some other stuff at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. But that was like a good thing because now we are like a nullable safer. Because I mean, nullable attributes, when you enable nullable safer on your project, that not mean that you will not face nullable object exception, null reference exception. But that means that the Hosling, the compiler, will help you to find the places that you can face some nullable exception there. Like, hey, this member could be null right now. So that was a really good, and probably we will fix a lot of bugs, hiding bugs there. But there was a massive PR, like 300 files changed. So when I reviewed that, I look, okay, let's file per
That
file, look if that makes sense, if it doesn't, if what that changed and stuff like that.
that's a
So
monster.
as a monster, and also like this very awesome person here. I'm sorry if I'm spelling your name wrong, but I will try. Maxim,
Maxim. Yeah,
Maxim, I
maybe.
think.
Yeah.
He's a community member. He's very active on the repo. Thank you for that. And he also do code reviews. So anyone from the community, if you want to contribute and you don't want to change to send code, you can do code review as well. We will appreciate that. And we will listen your concerns and your opinion. It's like, oh, I am not a member of the core team, so the people will ignore me. No, absolutely not. This is a community project, so if you go there and raise a question up here or point something, we will take that in consideration. So he reviewed the PR, I reviewed it, and the other members as well. So man, this is like a week or two of work of reviewing and move back and go back. And thank you, Brando, for that, because that was a huge PR to do. And thank you for also the community members that rebase his PRs, open the PRs, and change all the code to be nullable safe, because that was a painful. So yeah, that sometimes happens. Sometimes
Yeah.
happens. Sorry for that. Sorry, but not sorry.
I mean, this is cool because, as I mentioned, I'm not the kind of person that will enable this feature. Uh, but yeah, I know that a lot of people are aware of having this kind of null crashes. I think nulls are part of the language, are part of the framework, but especially for the person that are coming from like scripting type of languages, they are not really familiar or they don't really like this kind of things. For me, a null is an state of something or in the code, so I can live with that. But probably in the future, this will be like something oldish, something that if you use nulls, it's because you are really old person. But yeah, I mean, we don't know. But at least for now, as I mentioned, I'm kind of happy with the null, the null thing. But yeah, that's really cool that you also support for the people that are enable this new feature that were released in the, I don't know if it's in the past year or 2 years ago, but it's something really new.
Yeah, that is correct. I think it's 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And a tip for persons that watching us right now, like if you have a new project starting today, turn on the nullable reference. Like that will be great. That will be easy. If you have a legacy project or a project that you have been working on 1 or 2 years, like from now, uh, if spend one sprint to do that migration to enable that, because it's not easy as it looks like. I remember from the John skit. I don't know if you guys know this person. He's like a legend, a live legend on C Sharp. He's a
Yeah,
author of this book, C Sharp in Diff. It's a
yeah,
an amazing book,
yeah. It's a really
and
cool book.
he has that another time library, and he enabled that nullable reference, and they tweet something like, "Gosh, it's hard. You fix some place and you compile it up, complains 200 warnings, and you fix that 200 warnings and appears more 1,000 ones, and it's a cat mouse game." Frank
Yeah,
Kruger as well. He did. I cannot remember which library he did that, but Frank Kruger is another amazing developer, and he enabled the nullable reference type, and he also say it on the tweet, "Dude, this is a painful. This is a huge amount of the work." So yeah, do that if you have time to do it, because that will expend a lot of time fixing problems.
yeah. That's true. I mean, especially when you have a very large library or very large project, it will be really painful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can prevent a lot of bugs or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have that comment asking about some code standard. I just sent the contributing file, but I don't know if in that file we get that like code standard, or for the code standard we need to take as reference some previous PR created. What do you recommend in that
No,
part?
we have some that contribution file. We have there some standards, code standards that you can follow. Also, we have on the project some analyzer that will do green squiggles on your code if you not follow some code standards at first. So it's like easy to fix that. And also you have a GitHub bot that I don't know if one time per day or one time per week he do a PR fixing some code style things, like instead of use space you use tabs. So if you have some space instead of tabs, he will do a PR fixing that for us. So
Okay.
yeah, you can it's kind of straightforward to follow our code standards.
Oh, that's really cool. And yeah, with that, what do you think about like having a kind of demonstration showing us what
Sure.
community tool it has? Because we already talked about the project, about how to contribute, but now let's start talking more in one of the most important things, which is what community toolkit provides us, what we have, if what are the gain that I have if I install that library on my project.
Let's do that. Just starting the Visual Studio, because I forgot to start it. Okay, let me open it. The project, not on the recent ones. Oops. So yeah, if you have any question while I am.
There's a question regarding Maui, but I think that we can talk a little bit of this after the demo. Just
Sure.
listen. Yeah, because Maui definitely is a good point, and how will be the future of the community token.
So let me open it here. So right now at the community toolkit, we have a good amount of controls. Like, let me see here. I'm on the wrong branch. Let me move to the main one. So the main branch is the stable branch right now. And we have a bunch of behaviors, converters, facts, extension methods, object model that is like more MVVM stuffs, and other controls like observable range collection.
Yeah.
Also, the async
This is
command.
basically we have kind of, I don't know if you was able to see the MVVM helper library from Jane Montemagno.
Yep.
And what is the other library from Brandon? The
Sync best practices, async await best practice.
practices. Yeah, so we have those items now part of the community toolkit, but there's not like a just a copy of the files. I was able to take a look there and see that we have like a an improved version of those implementation, which is really cool.
For sure. So about the MVVM helpers, the James Montemagno has an opened issue on the repo, and he said, guys, pick MVVM helpers and clone everything that you can to the Xamarin Community Toolkit, something like that. Just grab everything and move to here. Also, Brandon did that to the async command. He just say, okay, we have a Xamarin Community Toolkit right now, so let me move all this my code to here. And both of them made that. But about the MVVM helpers, we had like a situation that we don't want the Xamarin Community Toolkit be another MVVM framework.
Okay.
So we take a lot of care about, okay, this is not a Xamarin thing. This is more like an MVVM thing. So we don't accept that. It's not because it's bad. It's really good, but it's just because it's not the purpose of the library. The library is like a Xamarin thing, so we want to support Xamarin forms, not be a MVVM thing that the users can rely on.
So,
Also, we have this one here that is a grouping collection that we use observable hash collection. So like list view or collection view that use a grouping feature, you can just use this collection instead, and you have a key that will be your header, and you have the items that will be the cells inside that header. The most simple example that I could say is like the contacts app from your mobile device. Like we have the letter A, letter B, and inside of that we have the persons that start with the letter B name and letter A name. So you want to use the header thing on your collection, we have a collection ready for use. That is the grouping.
yeah, that's an interesting thing, and as you mentioned, this is used really often on almost all the projects, and it's really cool that now we have like a pre-built version of this in this library.
Yep. So I was just reviewing a code for the media element for Tizen that was opened by the Tizen team. Thank you for that, Tizen. Having some Tizen love is great. So I will check out to the develop branch. Let me do a pull here, and let's run this bad boy.
Great. And now that you mentioned what happened if I'm creating a PR but I had a dependency in a different library or a new NuGet package, you automatically deny that's kind of I can imagine but if I had dependency from a different library, I can imagine that the only dependencies that are allowed are Xamarin Forms and
Yep.
Xamarin what is the name of this library?
Essentials?
Essential. Those are
Nope.
the only dependencies. No, so even this one doesn't have dependency on essentials. The only dependency is summary form. If you are adding
Xamarin
any new
Forms.
dependency, it will be automatically discarded. Okay, that's really good to know. And
Yep.
let's see if in the future you can
So
return back.
the
You
only
can return back.
like we have ask us net standard 2.0 because like we that is I'm sorry that is kind of okayish, but for another kind of dependencies is like can you do that in another way? But we have I think for Tizen, no, not yet. So let me say about Tizen, we have a PR that is my fault, okay, that it's been there forever. That is the drawing view. You know, when you like need to assign a document and you want to draw with your finger in the
The
screen,
finger.
we have a control for that made by I need to I will bring that name of that guy because I really want to give that person the credit. Let me just a second. But anyway, that PR on the Tizen, oh, I was an issue there. So sorry. That PR on Tizen needs the Skia Sharp implementation, to do
Yeah.
the drawing stuffs. So is this drawing view? So we asked like, hey, I asked that to be honest. Like, hey, can we not use that reference because it's external reference? That could be the problem. Is this amazing guy here? He is the. Come on, where is the pop-up?
You find a new bug. Oh.
Vladislav. So he
No.
created this PR at first, and what I did at that time was like, okay, there is some things that I want to fix. This is small things, style things. So okay, he already did a great job. So I measured to another branch and started to work on that. But life happens with me as well, and the work was very hard. And the COVID situation, I'm needed to move from Florianopolis to Minas Gerais. A lot of crazy. So this PR was being like a lot of time, and I did not look at that like since 9 January and like beyond that. And now I will back to this one and make it work and be ready to merge to the next major feature. But he added that Skia Sharp version. So before accept that external reference, we talked a lot and asked also pinged the Tizen team from the Samsung on their original PR. Like I asked them like, hey, we really needed Skia Sharp, or Tizen has libraries that allow us to do that
Perform drawing.
natively. And he said, no, Skia Sharp is a good path, is the right way to do it. I said, okay, so this will be added just for Tizen, not for the entire
Okay.
library. But from me, it's something like that. If I go here to the file, it changes on the PR, and I see a CS project change, I
Please.
will ping you for something like why we are needed to change this. It's not like a bad copy or be a mad person. It's just we really need to do this because I don't know if we want to I/we, but mostly I want to change the version or add this reference, something like that. Just
Yeah, I
trying to
mean,
avoid.
and that introduces really complexity to maintain the library. because then you can find, oh, there's now we get an issue. Oh, that issue is because the library, and then you need to go to the library, solve that issue, and if you update, you will introduce more issues. But yeah, definitely makes sense to not having those kind of reference help to have like a more stable project. But yeah,
No.
Yeah.
now
Also, if the library owner stop giving support, you are going to start getting problems.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's really common.
Yeah, and to be honest, since I said like we do that on our spare time, we want to reduce every complexity. Like so if the PR just change, like is not improve performance, is not improve the dev experience, just do a change, but that change will be a breaking change. Like we need to obsolete something, we'll not still say, yeah, thank you for that, but we will keep uh this old way that we have, because adding this change will increase the maintenance cost, and we don't have too much time to that, and we want to spend the time on this feature or taking care of this control or stuff like that. No. So because of that, it's very important to first open an issue and wait for us to review that issue, review your proposal to see if you want that PR. So let's run the project here. And to be honest, we also already have some bugs from Xamarin Forms that is external dependence from us. So like, imagine that we work with the Xamarin team. The Xamarin Forms has some bugs that is not fast to be fixed, because it's not like I will say, oh, the team doesn't care about that. It's not that, okay? It's because they are working on Maui. They need to release the Maui until November this year. So, they are busy with that another work. So, we want to avoid having external dependencies, to have more head hates to care about it.
Yeah, I mean, I, I, I think those kind of issues with the summary form will be evolving and will be more common by the time it's moving, because, as you mentioned, right now the highest priority is to release an stable version of Maui.
Yep.
Oh, it looks really nice. I mean, we have the opportunity to take a look to the early bits last week, and at least for those early bits, it has a really good. It's following a really good path. Right.
Yeah, and something that I really like about it, like that Discord channel that you shared there, has also that Maui channel. So is where, like, when the contributors and the team can chat about features, can chat about PRs, and like, hey, the way that we implement this is not really good. Like that's kind of conversations and how the library should be
So
moved.
we can say that Discord is like the main communication channel with the team. Not only
Yes,
for the community, also for the Maui and the .NET C# teams.
yeah, is the .NET in general. So
Okay.
like on that Discord, you have like the Horizon channel, you have the Mono channel, the dot the also you have the Uno channel there. There is an Uno channel, the Avalon, the MVVM Cross, and so on and so on. So sorry, we have a lot of channels and persons and teams there that you can ping, but this Discord channel is to talk about .NET. So probably everything about .NET you'll find a channel, and you can ping that person on the team that could solve your problem. But it's good to highlight that is not like how to do channel. It's like, oh, how I created this custom handler for Xamarin Forms, or how I created this thing. That is happen a lot. That we have
For
this kind of conversation sometimes, but those channels is more like, hey, I am a contributor to the project, and I want to discuss this PR here, or hey, I am someone from the community that I have a library like Prism or any other control for the Xamarin Forms, and I want to discuss with the Maui team how I should migrate my code, or I saw something on the Maui code that I don't like too much because that will make my life harder. I want to discuss with the team if they can do another approach on that. So, it's not like to help you to solve your day by day problem on the project. It's more to discuss the project itself.
Yeah. Okay, so if I have an issue, that is not the correct place. I need to go to the specific GitHub homepage for every project and just create an issue there. This is more like to share
Yeah,
ideas. So I have this idea or I have this library and I want to discuss a little bit more here with the team members. Okay, that's
yeah,
really good to know. And not only for that, I mean, if someone want to get the latest new or be like in front of everything to know what will be the change in the future, that is a correct place to get what will be the current context of the project and what will the future for those projects, right?
yeah, that is correct. Because of course, like if you have facing weird behavior, that could be a bug, and you don't want to open an issue right now, we also can discuss that bug on the channel, and the team could like do a small triage and say, okay, this smell like a bug, please open an issue. Normally they don't solve your issue or your bug
Yeah.
there on the channel, but they could like point to you to something like, okay, this is it really really looks a bug, it's not a problem on your side or stuff like that, so please open a issue with a repro, that way we can take a look.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's good to say that, because people don't get on the channel and spam that with, "Hey,
yeah.
I
For
need
for
a custom
that
render,"
for that for
something
that we
like that.
already have Google, we already have Stack Overflow, and even GitHub.
Yeah,
But yeah, try to
that is
avoid to
correct.
put that kind of questions there.
And some Facebook groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, and some Facebook groups as well.
Okay, so now I can see that you just run the project. Like see
Yes.
just really some goodies there. So yeah,
So I will follow some features that I like most.
sure.
The first one is the settings that, in the early days of the project, we have all this sample project translated. So we have the Spanish translation and English translation. So time by time, we saw that it was a blocker for PRs for new features and bug fixes, because we required that the developer that was doing that implementation first create a sample on this application, the sample application, but also he request them to do the translation. And it was like unfair, because like
Yeah,
we have people from Ukraine, contributions from Ukraine, like the Vlad, sorry, like Vlad and that Max, and maybe they don't know Spanish, so it's very hard to them to do the translation, stuff like that. So you do a step behind and just make this page translated. But this here you can see what we do. So we have, let me also bring that code here. So we have this page and we have a markup extension for the translations. So we can just see this exit, translate, and binding to a string. And this string could be a resource file, could be a static class that you have the key for your resource file, but also this could be a binding. Like this is really, really amazing. This was made by Max. That, let me see if I can see here, like this app version. So if I have a string on my view model and that string is a translated one, if I change the language here, like to Spanish, and press save, just the XAML, uh, just the code that is here, like the static one, will change. We don't change like the string here on the view model, because that string is just validated once, and if you change that while you are running your application, this string here will not change. So he made this localized string object that takes care of that for us. So here he's setting the string format from the code for the C Sharp instead of using XAML or instead of using the resource file. Like if you have like a very complex message, let's say if you have like a bank application and you need to transfer some money, that message will change like grabbing some logical stuffs, like some variable stuffs. So I need you to do that on the view model, like construct that string on your view model. So here you make sure that the user don't need to reload the application to apply that change. Even if you use a string on the code, that change will be applied in the runtime. And the string is this one here, that version of the application. So if I move back to English, so this API version will works. Uh, Before that, this one works like a charm, you know, because this is using our markup extension. It is just an normal key. But here, as you can see, it's like a binding to our view model. Don't know if that makes sense, but if you have a string that is a binding to a view model, without this localized string, the translation will not work in runtime. You need to restart the application.
Okay. Yeah, I think makes sense.
Um, I also have the C Sharp markup extension for the people that, like Brandon, that loves to construct your UI using C Sharp instead of XAML. We ported that markup extension to the Xamarin Community Toolkit, and this page is all built on C Sharp. So let me see if I can find it. Markup here. So we have this search page, and this search page here, we use like a partner that could be used by you as a developer. We use a partial classes, and one class is just for the UI. So this is have all the UI structures like the label, the buttons, and so on and so on. And we have another class that is the logic one. So here's would be like our view model, but also could be a code behind if you think about it. Because it's a partial class, so it's the same class of the page.
Yeah,
So here we have all the
it's
logic.
it's something common, especially for the developers that are familiar with Windows Forms, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
some of WPF projects have this kind of approach. But yeah, it's really interesting. Definitely, it is not following the MVVM structure, but at least there's a lot of developers that really like this approach. It's really cool.
Yeah. Something that I really like this, and I think there is an advantage that Brandon shows up on his talk about writing UIs with C Sharp, is this thing on the grid. So instead you do a grid 0, 1, 2, 3, like the rows, you use number, you can use enums. So like, okay, I have a grid that I have the row definitions, and instead of say this is the row 0, row 1, row 2, or whatever, I just say, okay, this is call it the separator. So I give a name for that because we as a human beings, we work better with names than numbers.
Yeah.
So this is the title. So I know this is the row of the title and so on, and also for the columns. So when you set a control and you want to position the control in the row or in the column, you can use that name instead of the number. So if you have like, okay, this is the title, so probably will be like here or here. This is a title of that thing, so it's much easier to move to that point.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so sometimes when we have a big file, we don't know what we are doing.
Exactly. I also, even a project, like I'm working with the project with Alejandro right now, and when I move back from my vacation to that project again, I will say screen with grid 0, 1, 2, 3, and they look at it, what the hell is that 0, 1? I need to change something to see with the right load. Oh, so this is the row 0, and perform this stuff. So this way I think is much straightforward.
Yeah.
Also, it's easy for you can use a name off for bindings. So if I do like I think it's the rename thing, you change the binding and also the view model name of the property. So it's strongly typed and the refactoring safe. Instead of
Yeah.
the XAML, if you change on the view model, your XAML will not change it, will not rename. So maybe you can face out the bug and it's just because you forgot to change
To
the name
change
on.
that.
So yeah,
Yeah, I mean this is a really
also
good. This is a really good advantage if you
yeah,
compare with SAML. Yeah,
and
you
also
don't
you
need to
don't need to use the
rename it.
converters
Yeah.
on UI because
Yeah.
to me as a perf fan, I love performance, and I think since we are talking about mobile development, we should think performance first. Because if your app is not performance, like you can have iPhone 12, the Pro, the processor and the memory RAM, you handle application, but the battery don't. So
Right.
the
Yeah.
battery will just fall down, and the user
It
will
was
mad
drained.
of you.
This is
So
really common.
it's really common, but they're like the, the device has the power. Probably the iPhone 12 is most powerful than my notebook here. So, I'm not again about that, but the battery is terrible. So if you can avoid the converters that do box and unboxes every time, the C# UI is a good way to go if you care about performance. So yeah, just saying.
Yeah.
So move on. Let's look at some behaviors. We have animation behaviors here that you can just do animations using your XAML. So you don't need to go to the code behind and code the animation itself. You just go to the XAML page as I can show here, and you have this animation type, and you define the ease and the duration, that parameters, and the behavior will take care for you. So you
Yeah.
don't need to switch to code behind.
So I
Go
have a
ahead.
question. This one take the base the Sam animation from Javier.
Good question. Actually, this Javier did this PR.
Yeah. Maybe
So yeah,
because
he's using the animation here.
because if I'm not wrong, that Sam animation has like a really long time without updates. So probably this is kind of the evolution of that library. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really interesting to create those kind of animation direct using SAML. It's really nice.
yeah, for sure. This one is like event to comment behavior. So uh, it's a behavior at the end, and we use just the Xamarin Forms APIs, like this easing is a Xamarin Forms easing, not that much, and we perform our changes in our animation under the hood using the Xamarin animations APIs. The only thing that we do is like providing a XAML API to your work. So so that you don't need to be switching from C# to XAML, like if you are a XAML guy and you don't want to go to the C# most of the time, you want to avoid that, you do a code behind, you just want to work on XAML. So we provide it here for you. And also, if you see something that is missing, like some animation that's missing, some parameter that is missing, open an issue, we will review that, and we're more than happy if you send a PR for improvements. So we have a real rotation animation, that is this one. We have this another one, that is a flip vertical one, another kind of rotation and shake and so on and so on. So we have
Yeah,
a lot of opportunities here.
and good to say that this is not the only possibilities. You can mix all those things and create really complex animation. It's not like, oh, I just can attach only one animation. You can also create like a storyboard with all kind of animation, which is really interesting and really cool.
Absolutely.
I love this video.
Yeah,
We have. Oh, go ahead.
good to know. Good to know because I'm using some animation in my current project, but I didn't know about this one. It's, I was performing on the code behind, so this is really cool.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure, but I think the whole is bring the Xamarin animation bits to Xamarin Community Toolkit on those ones here, because since he did that PR, and he was of the developers that had a lot and a lot of controls and plugins, and he's bringing out to the Xamarin Community Toolkit to be a centralized place for his plugin.
That guy is really a machine. He creates a lot of really awesome things in a really speedy way. This guy is really awesome. I really love the work that Javier is doing.
Me
It's a
either.
rock star. It's a
Yeah.
rock star.
For
Yeah.
sure he is. I'm not sure if he's asleep because man, this guy is like very very fast in creating things, and day by day on Twitter or on the Xamarin Community Toolkit I can see PRs and
I
proposal for him and Maui as well, and see, oh gosh.
I
Yeah.
remember that 2 years ago this guy created the whole backend to support um, Linux on Xamarin Forms. So he created the whole implementation. Well, so not all the things, but almost all the controls at that time to support Linux. To get support of Linux in Xamarin Form using GTK. So yeah, this guy is really awesome.
For sure. So we have also this event to command behavior, and I know that the people that use Prisms already know this one, and we try to make it like how I could say that the most performant implementation of it. So like don't allocating too much string and stuff like that, and be more like extensible way. If you like the animation, let me bring back for a second. Our animation behavior inherits from animation base, and I cannot remember which one, but one of those are like events to command behavior one, and right now I cannot remember, but it's on the recording somewhere. Oh gosh, shame on me. But yeah, we make it that easy to be extensible, so you can extend this command to event to command behavior to create your own for your purpose, or you can use it, and it's really really straightforward. So this one is just grabbing the click event. This one here. Grab the click event and transform it to a command. And you can perform it as a simple one, and you can do like a complex one, like grabbing a tapped event and using that to your model type. And on your command, you like, okay, when I tap this item on the list, I will receive a coffee model, for example, and I will treat that. And because of that, there is a Jamie Monster Magno in person that opened a bug on our repo complaining about, hey, I am do a video, and he already have a video for that, and you can find it on his channel. And he has a smallest problem, like when on his view model he set the selected item to null, like on the list view to when we have that orange background, and if you want to get rid of that orange background, you just set the selected item to null. That throws an error on event to command behavior, because since it's a null, you don't have a type, and on the implementation we cast that type to something. Could be a command parameter. Since it's null, you don't have a command parameter, so you will cast it to the event args command. So that do some kind of crashes, and that's not good. So I come up with this solution that is event command behaviors, but generic one. So now we can specify the type that we want your command parameter to be converted. So for example, using the same example, you have a coffee model, and you like, okay, I don't care if this will whatever type my application is sending to me to this event command behavior, I want that type to be coffee. So on the XAML or on C#, depends on what language you are using to create your UI, you can set that specific type, and the library will take care to cast that type to you safely. So like, okay, I want to just be coffee. So you will not be event args, will not be event args converter, will be not anything but the type that you want. So you will prevent any kind of crash because of a cast exception, for example.
Okay.
So we can
Yeah.
use this as well.
Yeah, that's
And
interesting.
let me see another one. We have this is implied order grid behavior. If you let's go to the page that will be easier to show. Find it. Oh, it's here. It's this one or this one. So we added this control here. Let me open it. That implied it. So this control will set automatically for you the row and the column, the grading on your control. So you don't need to do this grid.row and this grid.column. If you follow the order, like here, this one will be on the first row and the first column. Since this is the second control, this will be on the second row, second column, and so on and so on and so on. So when you have like a layout that is kind of straightforward using grid, this amazing thing will prevent you to need to do this boilerplate grid.row and grid.column. And you can remove rows and you can add rows here. I don't know if don't know if this is updating or something like that, but I think that I found a bug. So yeah, oh no, it's just worked. Yeah, it's worked. So as you can see, I can add a column or remove a column, and everything, even it's not explicitly defined here, will respect that uh, logical order or something like that. So yeah, I think. Oh, this one set focus on entry completely. Like if you have a control and like login one, you have the username and the password, and when the user finishes to complete the username, when he hits the press the next button, we want to go to the password entry. So instead of do that manually, we also have a behavior for that. There you just name your control and we use this next element property, attached property, to define like, okay, the next control will be the entry 2. And we will look on your page to the xname entry 2 and move the focus to that control, and so on. And we also studying how to make this a good feature to accessibility. So screen reader and you want to focus the next control, that control, how we can attach this behavior together with the accessibility features as well. So that will be awesome. Oh, this last one here. I saw that a lot of reactive extensions. Like, okay, I do a search bar, and when my user stops to typing, I want to perform some action, whatever. So we have this behavior. You can define how much time will you await to trigger that action. So in this case, it's like 1 second. So user will type, and after 1 second, some action will happen. Or we can also define a minimal length, like 3 characters, 4 characters, 1 characters, or 0 characters. And let me mark this one that when this behavior trigger, the keyboard will be hidden. So something like that. Wait 1 second, and we'll perform that action, and we'll hide the keyboard for me. So magic.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think almost all the projects that use that search bar element wants to detect this kind of behavior. Like, if I need to perform a query every time the user types something, you need to aware uh, of having a kind of delay, just to avoid having a lot of API calls every time that the user changes something, and with that you are able to to avoid that kind of situation. Once the user complete to type something, at that moment, make that proper call to the API. Yeah, it's really nice. I love this feature too.
Yeah, and since it's a behavior, you can use this on an entry or whatever your imagination brings to you. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to implement. Okay, let's take a look at some converters. Like we have this byte array to image source converter, since we can have a stream, and that stream could be converted to a byte array, and you want that byte array to be an image, for example. So you can just use this converter. It's because I'm not connected to the internet, so this is not a bug; it's a feature. And yeah, okay, we will. Let me just don't crash the application, please. Okay, I think that will crash the application. But that X1 was a byte thing. And let me turn on. And we grab a byte array and convert that byte array to an image. And we can use that image control from the Xamarin Forms to display that image. So, it's very, very amazing that you don't need to care about it. We do that for you. Just remember to check if your internet connection is on, like I forgot to do here. And okay, we give me some time. And let's move to converters, see the code, batch array, just to see how easy is that. So converters, from the Xamarin Community Toolkit, you just need to do a resource dictionary, do a key for your converter, and add a static resource for that. And that will magically works. And also, thank you, Dan Siegel, for that. For the Xamarin Community Toolkit, we just have this alias here to use our namespace. So you add this HTML namespace, and from the XAML, you will have all features from the Xamarin Community Toolkit that you can access using XAML. So one place to go, one namespace, and you have everything. And this is amazing also because on the Xamarin Community Toolkit, we don't need any init C# code anywhere. You just add the library, add the namespace, and you're free to go. So I have this beautiful image from another contributor that I don't remember his name, shame on me. But yeah, this is a byte array image. This converted it to be displayed as an image. Also, we have just let's see another one.
Oh man, there's a lot.
We have a mood convert. If you have a mood binding stuff that was added, you have a mood convert as well. So it will check, it convert the entire text to uppercase and check it that is not equal to Andre. So like this is true because it's not uppercase, but let's type Andre here. Andre, and become false. If I do a space, will become true, but no, it doesn't. Now it's false because it's uppercase and the string is Andre. So I have a multi-conditional thing here. I check more than one condition to make this happen.
Yeah,
so this is
really interesting.
Amazing one. Okay. So here's how you choose.
Commonly, you add like a tons of converters to achieve this kind of thing, and now it's really good that you can have this multi-converter.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So let's move to the facts one, and we have this one locates my puppy. I did this one, so I will show this first one. That is the life cycle event effect. And okay, this will live for a long short time, but this is good. It's good because on the MAUI we will have this built inside the MAUI, like the life cycle event stuff. So they are working to provide like an application level life cycle, like resume, pause it, destroy it, and started. And also they are working to provide that at the visual element level. So this will not live forever. My one is like at the visual element level. So I have here this screen, and I have this log here that shows to me that okay, stack layout was lowered, the label was lowered, the image was lowered, and all that controls that I attached to that effect was lowered. And be careful because this is when the control is instantiated on the native memory. So like for the label on iOS will be Y label. So it's when the Y label is instantiated on the device memory.
Okay.
So if you try to measure it, like try to grab the height and the width of this control, it will be 0 because the Xamarin Forms framework didn't size it that control yet. So there are some things that you cannot do yet, but just give you power to the dev to know, okay, this is now in the memory, so this control exists in the memory, so I can perform things on that control. So that is the ideal, but you need to take care because there is some place that the like the size element, the element is not sized yet, it's not measured
Okay.
yet, so you cannot grab the measure on that. And we have the load event, and we have the unload one. So I will present an image and remove that image. So you see here the image was unloaded. So let's see what it does. I have this event that could be used by any control. So the idea here is like we just need to instantiate one delegate, and you can use that same delegate to any visual element that you have. So I check if it's a button, if it's an image, or a layout. And he said that is lowered and print here to me. Also, this is not saying that the control is visible. Like the image here, the is visible is false, but the image was lowered. So the image exists in the memory, is allocated there. So the device uses resources to load that image, but it's not visible in the visual tree. But the image is there allocated on the memory. So the image will present as lowered one. And here, when I click on that button, I present the image. So it's the is visible is false before, and now it's true. And after 3 seconds, I remove the image from the stack. So when I remove that image from the stack, I not set the visible, I just grabbing that control and disposing that control. So at some point, the native platform, the image handler will release all the resources for that control, and that will be unloaded one.
Okay.
And you can track that unload right here. So I think that will cover a lot of scenarios, like if you use templated bindings, if you use content view and you want to see, hey, my content view is loaded or is unloaded or any other control, any other layout, you can do that right now with the Xamarin Community Toolkit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the future
This
with
is
the malware.
yeah. This is something that is required a lot, and yeah, definitely is a really awesome feature that Community Toolkit provides. Thanks for
Yeah,
that.
you're
So, so,
welcome.
sometimes we want to do something after the control is loaded. So this really helps in that scenario.
Yeah, for sure. Like we don't have on a period on content views just for
Yeah,
pages. So I feel that pain. I saw that pain a lot on devs, and me either. I also feel that pain. A lot of custom controls and stuff like that, and this solves a lot of issues. Also, we have this shadow effect made by Andrew. He's one of our core member team, so you can have shadows everywhere using the Xamarin Community Toolkit as an effect. So you can have shadows on labels, on box views, and anything. Want shadow, just go for it.
I want to see that um, the SAML implementation of
Oh,
that.
sure,
It's
sure. The
really interesting
shadow
because
one. Go
it's
ahead.
really common. It's really common that um, some designers use Zeppelin to provide the specs for shadow. And it would really good to know which type of property we can set because those properties that we can see here is the most common of the use by the Zeppelin definition, so you can just you can just get those values and set using this effect, which is really cool. I mean, I can see offset X, offset Y, radius, and color.
Yeah,
Yeah, actually, it's a really
we
cool
have
technique.
opacity, we have a radius if you want to like rodent shadow and stuff like that, and that works to any visual element. So like anything
And
that is a visual element, you can apply a shadow.
and the good thing is that
Amazing.
it works really fine for Android because it's really pain to create shadows for Android.
I completely agree about
And
it.
And it's common to add shadows in the console, so this helping us a
yeah,
lot to avoid create our effects.
nowadays the designers use a lot shadow. I don't know if it's good or not, but they abuse using shadow. And also the all UIs contain shadow.
Yeah.
That is true. And
That's really
here
amazing.
for free.
I didn't know about this. It's really cool.
I think this one was added at the 1.1 version, to be honest.
1.1.
We also have this touch effect also by Android, and it's amazing. Like you can perform some kind of animations. We can like here, like oh look how this go to the
Oh,
bottom. So is
that
that
is
we said like you cannot perform is not just one animation, but you can combine a lot of animations and all that on XAML. So we have Stoglet, we have the command, we can change the background image source, you can change the pressed image source like this toggle one. You can see that then now the image is it's uh like I pressed it, like it's a
mm-hmm.
physical button that change the image. I can do like that ripple effect. This one. I can have the long press. So I just if I click very fast here, the count doesn't change. But if I press and hold, then I have a long press here. And for long press, I can. Where is you? Let me just long press command. I have come on, but I have a property that tells me how much time I want to count to consider that is a long press. Like could be 1 second, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. So you can customize that to your needs.
What is the default value? Because I don't know if it's an standard, but maybe iOS and Android handles in a different way the long press.
Yeah, that is a good question. Let me see if I threshold. I think default is inch, so probably is under the platform
Maybe
implementation.
maybe the default value is what the platform provides.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, I cannot remember right now.
I mean, those helpers are really amazing. Definitely, that is something that maybe help us removing a lot of things from projects and just focus on the good things, not this kind of implementation. It's really amazing.
Yeah, that is true. This last one, like I can, do animation to pulse it, to rotate the title, as you can see there. And yeah, this is one of the most perfect that I have seen, and do a lot of stuff out of the box. So as you say, you don't care to I need to a touch effect, I need to a long press. So how I built that? No, you don't need to care about that. Just use it. Ready to use. Let us feel that pain for you. Do that pain. Do that all hard work for you.
Oh man, the library is so awesome. It has more things than what I was thinking.
Oh, there is a lot of things. So we have this. I don't know what is this one. Oh, so yeah, if you want like we can use images at each platform using the resource folder on Android, on iOS, and drawable folders on Android. But if you want, you can add an image on your shared project, and that image you use it here, and you want to use that on your image control. So with this effect, you can do, sorry, this extension, you can, oh, it's not one, it's this one. You can just grab that image that will be on your shared project and use on our platforms, handle that. Just using our images resource markup extension here. So you have it is, you provide the ID that will be this name here, and you provide, as you remember, since it's a research file, you just need to provide the our assembly name
Assembly name,
and
folder, and then
the folder and the namespace and the name of the file, and that will be handled for you. So here's our implementation of that. So again, you don't need to care about that. Just add the images on your shared project, use our extension here, and be happy. Okay, move on. The test case is for the bugs that we found. Like the people reporting bugs, and you create a reproduction of that bug, and you add it here just to make sure that, that bug was fixed. It's happening and is not happening after that PR. So we have also the views. We have this avatar view here. And
I love that one. I really love.
Oh, that's great.
It's a really awesome control.
And since I use the dark mode, that slider is not in a good it's a good array, but I am just using the slider to increase and decrease the size and the image size. So you don't need care about anything. We do the hard work for you. So let's take a quick look at this one. Is the avatar view page. So we have a collection view here, and use the avatar view, and you specify the font size, we specify the search that you grab from the internet, that images, and you render. If the image is not found, like you don't have internet connection, that image doesn't exist anymore, we'll show the initial name. So it's like Andrew here is A and M. And the unknown one, we can specify a custom character for an unknown person. Okay, we have also layouts.
Quick question.
Go ahead, please.
I know that you mentioned that while you are thinking and you are continuing providing the accessibility support for all the consoles, and all of those views that you are doing, so also support the accessibility. So you providing us a couple of properties that we can use to set those kind of things, or?
No, right now, no. We are relying on the Xamarin Forms accessibility APIs, but Shane, that is a Xamarin/MAU engineering, he's working with Rachel very, very hard on accessibility stuff from MAUI, and also to fix some accessibility APIs on Xamarin Forms. And he made issue proposal, feature request proposal, to add a content view that will work with accessibility, because like the tab index, the tab index property is kind of a broken one. This one doesn't work very well. So we have a proposal to him to add a control that will use in place of this tab index to the Xamarin Community Toolkit, and we are on the conversation to define the API and the best way to implement that for us. So right now we don't use it.
That's a really important question, because especially for this kind of control that are composed, it can introduce some issues regarding accessibility, especially with the elements that are automatically added by the OS. Oh yeah, definitely something that
exactly.
So like right now, if you want to add some accessibility thing, we cannot. You need to add it to the whole control itself.
Okay.
And handle that.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Also, we have some layouts like this dock layout, like that. Use it as a rectangles, a perfect rectangles. So let's move real quickly. So you define it's the top, the left, the bottom, and that will align the elements for you inside that layout. There is a really good one. Let me see if it's already measured. Oh, I don't think so. Let me filter here. State layout. Yeah, that is not measured, but it's the hexagonal layout. It's a really good if you want to do like Apple Watch application. So the hexagonal layout is very common there. But yeah, we didn't merge it. So we have that state layout. So you can create a layout that will present the states like loading state and error state and success state and so on, the empty state and so on and so on. This one is by Steven, the same guys that made their awesome pancake build control. So now we have this grid one, that's just like the holder one, and we have the state layout, like we have the lowering one, and since we use templated views, you can specify any layout inside of this control. We have the empty layout and what you want, the saving layout, the lowering one, the error layout, the custom layout, the success layout, and you can also do a full screen state layout. Man, this is infinity possibles.
Yeah, the good
And
thing is that now you don't need to manage all those states on your view model. Now you can define everything here, and it automatically will activate on the specific state. It's really cool. Actually,
that is true.
I need to use this in a few
And
places.
please let us know how it goes. Also, two last ones that I will show and then move to another one is the pop-up one made by Andre. That is like something that the people want. Oh, this I will show later. Come on, let's bring the smallest one. Like with one button. Oh, I have a pop-up here, and I can grab that. Okay, I have pop-up with multiple buttons like OK and a cancel one, and also I have a transparent pop-up. Like you don't have borders here. You just have like an image or something like that. We have an anchor pop-up. So for helping text and helping model, this is great. So like I have this X button here. I can move at any point on my screen. And if I show a pop-up, my pop-up will show you exactly what that X is. So you can attach that at any control.
For tutorials, yeah.
Yes, that's really nice. And just other questions regarding that pop-ups. Those pop-ups are supporting like animation, so when the pop-ups is going to appear to the window, so for example, the animation left to the right, bottom to the top, something like that, or
no, out of the box, not yet. If you want that, you needed to build that by your. The pop-up was a huge PR, and this is like the basic implementation, like the essentials things, and we are working to improve that. And like, please open an issue asking for that feature for animations, and we will probably work on that to do that, because pop-up is something that people want a lot, and it's like any application you need a pop-up. And also this one we have that we don't have the light dismiss. So sorry, if I am like clicking outside the bounds of the pop-up, the model that will not close, that will just close if I click on the close button. Because for example, this one here, if I click outside the pop-up bounds, the pop-up is dismissed. But we have the control also to not allow the user to not click on off chooses or buttons on the options to dismiss that pop-up. So
just for curiosity, how these pop-ups work? They are using the like a native approach, maybe using a different activity or a different driver controller, or they inject.
The Android.app.download, and the Android will be the native thing, and so on and so on.
It's
Like
really
here on
cool.
the Android, we use a view controller, and uh, there is somewhere that we create that pop-up view and performs all the changes. So yeah, this one is not a template or shared control. It's a native control
The native
using the
control.
native features.
Yeah, that's really cool because I noticed a few libraries using like eject version of the view inside your current page, which is not like a really good approach. So I really like
Hmm.
this approach using the native. Yeah.
Yes, it's really nice.
And
Uh,
for
uh,
last
uh, uh,
reviews, we have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I saw the Xamarin show from Gerald and Andrew. They were talking about this, the perfect pop-up platform, platform perfect pop-up.
Yeah, and there is two parts. And if you
Yeah,
on the chapter didn't see that, go for it because it's very, very a good first step to how to use the pop-up API. And this is amazing.
yeah,
We also have another one that is the tab view. That is something that everyone wants, like create a custom tabs with the middle button and do something. And we have a basic one. We can also pass pages by scrolling, like swipe gestures and stuff like that. Also, we have the lazy views. So here, for example, we have these two normal tabs that was lowered, but this tab 2, as you can see here, there is nothing. I like swiping to it, and that is not created. But when I perform the navigation, I lowered that page, so lazy tabs. So like now when I swipe, I can see that page
Yeah.
is lowered. And like right here, and this another one is less stabilized as well. Is like, okay, I'm scrolling here, and I cannot see anything because that view doesn't exist yet. So we have tab views, fully customizable, and we also can load the tabbed views as demand as the user navigates to that specific tab.
And
We have. Go
quick
ahead.
question regarding that. That swipe event is also working for iOS because if I'm not wrong, by default, this when you use this tab page, the swipe gesture is not available for iOS. But with this control, it's available for both platform, Android and iOS, or just for Android.
I believe that is working for iOS. I'm not sure, to be honest, because under the hood, the tab view is the carousel control.
Yeah.
So I believe
Oh,
that. So
maybe
I believe that
it
that
will work.
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some samples about the tab view, and it has the scroll for iOS too.
Oh,
Oh,
great.
The
that's
native
really
tabs
interesting.
does iOS doesn't support
Doesn't
this
provide. Yeah.
swipe. Yeah,
Since it's a a carousel view, basically everything that you can do with the carousel view, we can do under the tab
And
view.
I like this approach of not creating the view at the time that you are displaying this control because it will hit the performance because sometimes the user only requires the information at the very first tab, and if you create and if you launch all the logic for the other tab, it will hit the performance of the application. So I really like this approach of
Yeah, and for the lazy view, it's not a specific thing for the tab view, but it's a control that I implemented. But the person that they make this control to life that had the idea was the Rubachov, the Sharpenator guy,
okay.
So he
yeah.
created this idea, and I just grab this his code and bring it to the Xamarin Community Toolkit. And is this lazy view control here? So we did this way because, uh, like, okay, I want to use a lazy load view to my tab view. Okay, instead of using a content view or something like that and reference here directly, use this type lazy view thing and pass the type that your view is. So like this is my lazy test view. This is this control. So just pass the control here to this x dot x two dots type arguments, and that will be lazy load. There is a Xamarin Community Toolkit show, Xamarin show that I presented with Jared explaining a little bit further how this works. So like, if you're curious, check out that video. But what the main idea to create a view for that is like, you can use a lazy view everywhere. So like, if you have a page, and your page will have like a piece of a view that you don't want to load automatically. You're like, okay, I just want to load this if the user tap a button or if the user scroll to this point of my application, and I want to load that view because maybe that view do some have calculus or some have API request, a database request, and I don't want to waste resources on that. So you can use everywhere. And at that show, I teach you how to use our basic implementation and how to create your own implementation to do whatever you want. So I like very much this approach as well.
Yeah, I think
And
this
go
is
ahead.
something that nowadays the developers need to use. There's a lot of people having applications that are really, really slow. So this kind,
Yes.
this
Yes.
kind of control will help us to improve the performance. I like that they are using this lazy.
And they say they issued the framework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time the issue is because the developer is doing really bad code and not following the best practices.
Yeah, and that is it what I have to show you guys. And if you want to see like a specific behavioral control, you or the people on the chat, just let me know and you can dig into that content.
I think this is good. I mean, if we want to take a look or walk through all the features that the library provides, we probably need 1 or 2 full days talking about this. But yeah, I really like the item that you chose. I think this library, all the attendees need to go to their projects, remove all that code that you have to maintain similar features that the library is providing, and you will save a lot of time. You will get a really good implementation because, as Jesus mentioned, this is a library that is curated. It's not like some people throwing code that is not properly implemented. Even if it's a library that is maintained by the community, it has some kind of a standard that is not allowing throwing just like dirty code or something that is not properly implemented.
Yeah, that is true.
I'm currently working on a legacy project, and they have a lot of implementations that I can reuse that instead of rewrite.
Great to hear that
Yeah.
real road cases that will be benefited by the Xamarin Community Toolkit. That is really awesome. And another thing about Xamarin Community Toolkit that I think this is amazing, it is that the library is linker safe. So another part that I work on the Xamarin Community Toolkit is make the linker behave as expected for your project. So sometimes I saw some issues that, hey, when I release the application, the linker is removing this behavior as this ping or converter that I am using. And I go there and perform some research and fix that issue. Because what means linker safe? That means if you go to your project today and properties here, and for Android or iOS, and I think it's this one, and you go to the link options and set you to the SDKs assembly owners, that is the linker default one. The linker will remove code from our library that you're not using. So if you have the Xamarin Community Kit installed and you just use one effect, all other controls will be removed. So that your application size will not be compromised by the Xamarin Community Kit adding code and controls that you will not use. So you just bring it to your final application the code that you need. This is amazing. You don't need to care about the linker for the library.
Yeah,
That's
for
really
sure.
cool because sometimes the developers we are afraid because we know that it's a big library and we want to be care about the size of the app, and with the linkers safe, that's pretty cool.
Mhm. That is
Yeah,
that is exactly what we talked about at that time. Okay, like what do you do? We release a lot of libraries, like one for effects, another for converters, or you ship everything in one single library, and how you handle the size of that library, like releasing a single one. Today, the NuGet packages of the Xamarin Community Toolkit, the last time that I checked, is a little bit before the 1.1, is like 2 MB size.
yeah,
But if you like use some just one feature, that could be 64 kilobytes. So we can cut off a lot of unused code for you. So don't be afraid to use it.
Yeah.
that's a really good point, and actually,
Yes.
that is that is happening often. A lot of people are like, I can say they are like library oriented developers because they just want to have libraries add everything to their project, but at the end they are asking, oh, my application is huge, how I can remove a little bit of megabytes from the application. So that is because some of the libraries are not like this kind of linker configuration in order to get what they really need, because as you mentioned, most of the libraries are really huge, but if they are not stripping out what you don't need, it will increase a lot your application size. But yeah, I really like
For
this
sure.
this configuration. And yeah, I have one last question for you now that we get like over these 2 hours, and I know that it's almost midnight on your time. Uh,
I'm okay. I'm on
le-
vacation, so all
well,
night long.
You need another
vacation.
beer.
Yeah, that is true.
you you can go to the beer if you want. If you want to get another beer, you can go. I have one last question, but we can wait.
No, go. Let's
Never
go
mind.
for that question. I don't
You
know
have
if
to be
there is a
prepared.
lot, and also I completely forgot to mention that before. But we are like presenting in English. But if the people on the chat has question that they want to ask on Portuguese or Spanish,
Funny.
please
Yeah.
do that, and you can translate it. But like I will answer on English, but you can comment on Portuguese on Spanish, and I
Yeah,
can understand that.
yeah, for sure. If anyone wants to write the question in your native language, you can go ahead and we can translate it without problem. Yeah, here is my question, and it's regarding to the Gustavo Amoger question. It's more, what will be the next step for Xamarin Community Toolkit, especially because we are having at the end of this year a big release regarding Xamarin Forms and Magui. Basically, we are moving Xamarin Form, and Magui will be like the standard to create new cross-platform applications. What will be the future of Xamarin Community Toolkit regarding this? Do we have like a name change? Do we have Xamarin Community Toolkit merged with Maui? What is the next step that we have for the library?
Great question. I will share the link to our wiki page because I think that I mentioned that with you before the live started. Me and other members of the Xamarin Community Toolkit team had a no a stand up today that is on that week link. You can find it, and uh, we discussed these things because the Maui is like right away. November this year we release we not the Microsoft will release the .NET 6, and also we release the Maui uh, the Maui framework. And that question happens a lot frequently to us, like, okay, what is the next steps and what we will do with that with that steps. So the first one that Jared let me see. Just a little minute here. The Jared tried to answer us. Looks like the link is kind of broken. So if you go to the on your screen, you click on, you scroll down a little bit, support timeline, and you go to the new feature enhancements. We have that the next community toolkit supporting .NET MAUI. Just click on that, and you will see that .NET MAUI support. So right now we are discussing two things, like we can merge our efforts with the Windows Community Toolkit. So uh, so try to see with them if you can measure that MVVM stuff, that range observable collection stuff, and some stuffs work together and make that work with the new handler architecture to MAUI, and see if that's feasible, and move that Windows Community Toolkit and the Xamarin Community Toolkit as one single project. Or this is one approach, but we need to also discuss with the Windows Community Toolkit to see if that's possible, if that we know we have time to do that. And also we have another approach that is possible, that is put the Xamarin Community Toolkit like a code freeze state, like the Xamarin Form is today. So we stop to accepting the new features, just bug fixes and stable code, and create a new repo. You not use this repo anymore because this is like a Xamarin Forms thing, and create a new repo, maybe in .NET organization at GitHub, calling MAUI Community Toolkit or another name, or create that new repo in another organization. We don't know yet. But on that project, that repo, we started to perform that migration. Convert our handlers to be handlers, convert effects to be whatever the API we will have on MAUI for effects, and convert and behaviors and so on. And let's see if I'm missing something. So yeah, and see what that goes on, and also deprecating stuff. Like I said, life cycle events will be supported by MAUI by default, so you don't need that anymore on the Xamarin Community Toolkit / MAUI Community Toolkit. Shadows also will be supported by default, so you don't need that on the Community Toolkit. So we kind of do a list of what will port and what will you delete before codes, because it's not the delete, it's like moving to the MAUI, or MAUI will support and you don't need that anymore. But for the Xamarin Community Toolkit, what we have been thinking about is a way to the last release of the Xamarin Community Toolkit that be MAUI compatible. So I don't know if you guys are aware of that. The Denver now talk that a lot, but the MAUI will have like a
Backward
legacy
compatibility.
support. Yes, a compatibility. Thanks, I forgot that name. So if you have a custom handler application, we can still using that custom handler that was a Xamarin Forms architecture on MAUI, but that custom handler will not benefit to the all perf MAUI improvements.
Yeah.
So we thinking to do that as well for the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So what that means, that all handlers and all controls inside the Xamarin Community Toolkit will work on MAUI, but will not have the MAUI performance improvements. All those performance improvements will be done on the new project or on the Windows Community Toolkit work, merge, stuff like that.
But that's really interesting, especially because maybe some persons will be like afraid about adding the library, and then just when they migrate to MAUI having issues. And I just mentioned that that will not happen because MAUI will support the current state. But yeah, definitely we need to think what happened with the performance, because we'll use like the old approach, which is good. It depends on the side of the coin that you see the situation. But yeah, don't worry about adding the library to your current project. You can add it without having those kind of issues. And as you mentioned, right now the timeline is to have the community toolkit the same as Xamarin Form in Xamarin Run, having support uh, until the Xamarin Forms get like the final support. But starting Maui, there's some open discussion whether if a new library will be released with the name Maui Community Toolkit, or if that library will be included into the Windows Community Toolkit, which is also a library that is really common for WPF and UWP developers. And yeah, let's see what happens. But we need to have that in mind that this library will get the same life cycle that the Xamarin Form actually has. If I not wrong, that's basically the situation right now with the library, right?
Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, that is the plans right now for Maui. And as you can see on the new features slash enhancements, we will accept new features until .NET 6 Preview 5, because we as you know, reinforcing this again, stress this again, we work on the Xamarin Community on our spare time, and we want to have like a good time frame to migrate controls and stuff to the Maui, because to be honest, we want to release the Xamarin Community Toolkit to Maui at the same time that the Maui stable versions releases. That means in November this year. So we are freezing the code at the time frame point because we will have a lot of work to do. One example that I think that I can share with you is like the linker safe will be keep on this Maui support, but since the Maui uses .NET 6, we will need to change our link architecture that we use today on the Xamarin Community Toolkit, because we use the mono approach, and the .NET 6 has a specific
Different
API,
approach.
yes, to handle the linker. So we need to migrate our code to that attributes and that notations and see how that works, and that will be a lot of work, I presume.
Yeah.
So you want to have a good time frame to do that.
Yeah, I think that starting on that preview probably makes sense, and it's a really good time window in order to deliver the proper version of the optimized version for Maui. That's really awesome. I will really follow this the future statement of the library, because I really liked it, and I think there's a really good things coming from Maui.
For sure. And remember, this is a community thing. So if you that watching right now or in the future want to raise some questions and concerns and stuff like that, you can, instead of the issues, you go to the discussions tab at the top and open a new discussion. And, like, hey, I want to talk about the Maui thing here, and put that your concern, your comment, your idea, and let's chat about that, because we don't want, as far as I know, you don't want to make that like a secret or a little club decision. We want the community to participate on that, sharing thoughts and sharing ideas and sharing implementations and stuff like that. Just like the Maui is, Maui is burning, it's coming to life in the open source way. Since the beginning, the devs could go to the Maui repo and open issues and ask the team for ideas and ask the team to implement X or Y and stuff like that. So we want to follow this line as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I like this feature of GitHub, and yeah, definitely, as you mentioned, there's no secret. Anyone can go here, start open a new discussion, or even join to the ones that are already created. Yeah, I really like this approach, and as you mentioned, the community will guide the process of the current state of the application.
Yeah, so sometimes we could have some doubts, and if we go to discussions, we can find that someone already asked or start a new discussion about it.
Yeah, for sure. And share it, go to that discussion, don't be shy, just go there and put your inputs there, your concerns, your ideas, your like, and even like I will not be offended if someone goes there and say, "Oh, this is completely wrong. You are crazy. You should not do that." So please do that. Write that thing and let's uh, discuss that idea that you have or why maybe that doesn't work for you. So
Yeah.
don't be shy. This is a community thing. Go there
Yeah.
and raise your flag if you have any blocker or any fear about it.
That's really awesome. And yeah, I mean we have almost 2 hours and a half of streaming, and yeah, I think now we can close this. But before close, what happened if someone went to follow you in social network, or they want to follow what are you doing over day by day with the community? What is the best place to follow you?
So my Twitter is, my gosh, I'm terrible at this. Right here, this is my Twitter handle. So PJ underline Sauce. Just find me on the Twitter with this nickname. And also on my GitHub handle that is on the most helpful persons on the Alejandro screens. That is the first one, Pictus. And that is not that I'm a
Awesome.
very helpful one. It's just because I can answer something and mark my as a answer question. So it's just that because I'm there on the top. So yeah, on my GitHub you can see all my step by step on the community toolkit or the MAUI or any open source project. You can see what I'm doing, and you can ping me say, "Hey, dude, you are doing this wrong." It's
Mm.
completely fine.
Let me post that information. Twitter, then GitHub. In order to allow the people like following you. And yeah, you need to you need to you need to follow this guy. This guy is doing a really awesome thing. So be sure that you follow Jesus and put like receive notification each time that he posts something. But yeah,
Thank you.
I, I want to say thanks a lot, Jesus, for your time. I know that it's midnight on your side, and I really appreciate your time sharing your knowledge with the Latin American community. I really appreciate your work. As I mentioned, I really I'm really proud of you. What are you doing? What are you sharing with the community? Um, I'm really happy with how you are evolving with the community.
Thanks so much. That means a lot from me, and the pleasure is mine to be here sharing content. And I'm from Brazil. I'm part of the Latin America, and I'm sorry to not speak Spanish because my Spanish is terrible. But I promise that I am starting learning Spanish again. I learned it when I was a kid, but I forgot almost everything. But yeah, I hope that in the next opportunity to be here with you guys, I can speak in Spanish, and it's not like a bad Spanish. Like it's good Spanish. I hope.
I hope to have you here soon again.
Oh,
It will be
thank you.
great.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
we will invite you again in the future, because yeah, probably one of the topics that I want to learn from you is how to contribute, because we can explain how to do this, but maybe it will be good to have like a real example of creating a new issue, or maybe uh, the whole process of creating a branch or a fork, and then perform your code and then return back and create a PR, and have a discussion on the repository. It will be really good to have like a real world example, and it will be really a pleasure to have you again in this kind of streams.
Please just call me, and I more than happy to do that anytime.
So yeah, I don't know if Ricardo Fernando has any other final thoughts or
Well,
questions.
just I would like to say that thank you, Jesus, for sharing with us your knowledge. So I learned a lot of things, and probably I'm going to. Well, I'm thinking right now that I'm going to apply the Xamarin Community in my current project because, well, you have a lot of concepts that we can use on the projects, and that is really nice. And I would like to say that thank you for the great work that you are doing in the Xamarin Community Toolkit. So thank you a lot. So it's appreciated.
Thank you, and I'm glad to hear that I convince you to use the Xamarin Community Toolkit.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you here. But also, I'm thinking in which places or in the project where I need to remove some code and start using this Xamarin Community Toolkits. It has a lot of things that we needed. And thank you for all your hard work. You are Rockstar.
Thank you for
Great.
that. And yeah, the most thing that make me happy with the Xamarin Community Toolkit is, like you said, when a developer says, okay, I need to delete code. So, a PR deleting code is the best motivation thing that you can have, is the best trophy that you can have there.
That means that you are achieving the goal of
Yeah.
the Oh, but I think with that we can close this streaming. And again, thanks a lot to sharing this time with us. I really appreciate that. And well, see you, all of you, in the next streaming.
Okay.
Thanks a
See
lot.
you guys.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
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 Adios.
Adios.
That is I know a little bit of Spanish.
See you.
Yeah, bye bye.